They deposited the supposed corpse on the bier. Edmund stiffened himself in order to play the part of a dead man, and then the party, lighted by the man with the torch, who went first, ascended the stairs. Suddenly he felt the fresh and sharp night air, and Dante knew that the mistral was blowing. It was a sensation in which pleasure and pain were strangely mingled. The bearers went on for 20 paces, then stopped, putting the bier down on the ground. One of them went away, and Dante heard his shoes striking on the pavement. "Where am I?" he asked himself. "Really, he is by no means a light load," said the other bearer, sitting on the edge of the hand-barrow. Dante's first impulse was to escape, but fortunately he did not attempt it. "Give us a light," said the other bearer, "or I shall never find what I'm looking for." The man with the torch complied, although not asked in the most polite of terms. What could he be looking for, thought Edmund. The spade, perhaps. An exclamation of satisfaction indicated that the gravedigger had found the object of his search. "Here it is at last," he said. "Not without some trouble, though." "Yes," was the answer, "but it has lost nothing by waiting." As he said this, the man came towards Edmund, who heard a heavy metallic substance laid down beside him, and at the same moment a cord was fastened around his feet with sudden and painful violence. "Well, have you tied the knot?" inquired the gravedigger, who was looking on. "Yes, and pretty tight too, I can tell you," was the answer. "Move on, then." And the bier was lifted once more, and they proceeded. More cinematic evocation here by Dumas. We are limiting our sensory input and relying strictly on, maybe faint images through the canvas sack, maybe, if Dante would dare risk even opening his eyes in this scenario. But here, we get both the cold night air on his skin. You can imagine the weird sensation this brings, and Dumas even says that it was mingled between pleasure and pain, because on the one hand, he's outside the dungeon. He's free, kind of, but he has exchanged his dungeon as his prison for this flimsy cloth sack, and a cloth sack which is concealing the flimsiest of plans of unveiling him to not be dead. Dante, what the fuck are you thinking, man? And so I would imagine that internally Dante's like, this is gonna work. I'm free. I'm at least outside the dungeon, but man, oh man, the danger is even higher than it was when I was crawling through the tunnels inside the dungeon. I can't imagine the conflicting feelings he's feeling in that moment. But then we go back, okay, the cinematic thing. That feel of the night air on his skin brings that emotion to him. But then the sound, and Dumas obscures our vision of what we're seeing, because he's placing us directly in Dante's perspective here. We don't know what's going on. We have a little bit of Edmund's thoughts here saying, what is he looking for? What could he have found? Is it the spade to dig the grave? Possibly. But we don't know, because we can't see what's going on. All we could do is hear what Edmund is hearing, and what he hears, I'm just going to read it verbatim again. The man came towards Edmund, who heard a heavy metallic substance laid down beside him, and at the same moment a cord was fastened around his feet with a sudden and painful violence. So, okay, on the one hand, the gravekeepers are not being super respectful of the dead. They're just like, wrap it around his feet as quickly as you can. Let's get this shit over with. But on the other, the sensory nature, the hearing, the sounds, the sound design of this moment, like, it's almost monstrous. It's like, can you imagine being in a haunted mansion and you found your way to the cellar and it's pitch dark and you don't know if there's anything down there with you? Then all you hear is, like, after a few minutes of silence, ear-piercing silence, you hear the slight metallic rustling of heavy chains, and you're like, okay, something's down here, and it's big. So a heavy metallic substance laid down beside Dante. I'm not a gravedigger. I don't know much about grave digging, undertaking, any of that stuff. I do know if you're being buried, typically there's not a lot of heavy metal involved with that. So what could be happening here, and what is being wrapped around his legs? We found out what the knot is. Have you tied the knot? And he said, yeah, pretty tight. I did. Okay, So why are they tying something heavy and metallic around his feet? I don't know. There's only one way to find out, and that's tomorrow's conclusion of chapter 20. But since it's the penultimate episode, I have to go into this, and I feel like I just did it because it's such a short chapter. But I have to mention the Patreon. That's right. You can help keep this show afloat, going, thriving by contributing over at patreon.com/gruntworkpod, which is the podcast network that hosts the Countdown of Monte Cristo, the show that you are currently listening to, and your contributions, which can be as little as $1 per month, and that works out to only 3 cents per episode. If you think these episodes are worth 3 cents, now, I'm not going to point out the fact that 3 cents per episode is not much more than a penny for your thoughts. And I'm giving you a couple thoughts per episode. If you can contribute that $1 per month with no long-term commitments at all, you have full control over when you cancel. You get story-only audio of each chapter as they're completed. So as of tomorrow, chapter 20 will be available for you to listen to without my commentary, as well as the previous chapters, so that you can just listen to the audiobook version of the Count of Monte Cristo. It's a great way to stay up to date. If you need a recap, I often listen to them for recaps as well if I take time off between chapters. And you know what? You can hop on the Discord, which you can find for free. You do not need to be a Patreon member for this. To join in the discussion, tell me if there are other things you would like to have as a Patreon member. Anything that can help you support this show so that we can continue to bring it for the next 4 years. This chapter has given me so much anxiety. I'm not even going to go into the 4 years anxiety that the show is predicated upon. So if you can't do that, I get it. You can also go rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you listen to the show, because it helps get us into the algorithm and get in front of new people. But the way to get people to listen is by a one-to-one recommendation. If you can tell someone specifically about the show, send them an episode, send them the podcast feed, recommend the show to them, that will go a much longer way to getting them to actually listen. And I, of course, would deeply, deeply appreciate it. So with that, I am anxious to see what the hell is going on with this terrible plan that Dante has as we conclude chapter 20 tomorrow. You know where to find me. Until then, okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.